Hello and welcome to episode 450 of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan, as always, joined by Evan Silva. We're coming off of week 3. Evan, how's it going?
It's going well. We just finished the NFC team by team. There will be some capitulation on the complimentary AFC team by team.
Oh,
podcast.
Baby. Capitulation season. On today's show, we will be going team by team through each AFC squad, talking about everything we saw from injuries to usage and what it all means going forward. Before we get into it here, I have to remind everyone this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They are running best ball tournaments in season. We do have rankings for them. There's 1 week best ball snake drafts. There's also a snake draft best ball tournament that goes week 6 through week 17. We have rankings for both up if you are an in-season subscriber right now. Also, if you haven't gotten on Underdog Fantasy yet, promo code ETR for $100 matching on your first deposit. That's promo code ETR at Underdog Fantasy. And be sure you're subscribed to our in-season package so you can get those rankings along with everything else that we do. Weekly and monthly options are available right now as well. Start with the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson is breaking slates. Mark Andrews is breaking slates. Mark Andrews' last 17 games, Evan, and not all of this was with Lamar. There was some Tyler Huntley, et cetera, mixed in there. But last 17 games for Mark Andrews, 116 catches, 1,420 yards, 12 touchdowns. I mean, we're talking like prime Antonio Brown type numbers out of Mark Andrews playing tight end in a run-heavy offense. Now, this year, the Ravens have not been that run-heavy, and that's something that we're going to talk about on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But what have you seen from Mark Andrews? It's absolutely outrageous, and anything else on the Ravens?
Well, I'll tell you what. You remember when they traded away Marquise Brown, and everybody was like, oh, Rashad Bateman. And look, Rashad Bateman, he's been fine. But the answer was Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, it was just too obvious because he was already coming off a great year. It's like, how much greater could he be? And we're getting the answer, and that's that he can even be more great. I mean, the dude is an absolute baller. He's a downfield, seam stretching tight end, and they're throwing the ball downfield in Baltimore this year. I think Lamar Jackson now was back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. Yeah. So it seems like forever now that we were debating whether, the conspiracy theory of whether he would stop running because of his contract. Now, Lamar's just a football player, and he's going to go out there and do what he does. And right now, he's the number 1 overall quarterback in fantasy. And Mark Andrews, I think, he passed Travis Kelce this past week, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I will say on the Bateman stuff, when your team is not that pass happy and you're only running a route on 70 to 73% of your team's dropbacks, it's not great. And I'm not giving up on Rashad Bateman, but it's just not great. What was great was to see J.K. Dobbins back. J.K. Dobbins, 44% of the snaps in his 2022 debut off that serious knee injury. He handled 7 of 13 running back carries, 2 of 2 running back targets. I thought J.K. Dobbins looked fine, assuming that he came out of that game healthy. I think the role will continue to grow. And so, I mean, I'm optimistic about having some J.K. Dobbins for sure. Let's go to the Bills. And by the way, the Ravens, who we just talked about, and the Bills are playing each other this week in a 1:00 game in Baltimore. You saw the Bills actually get into a close competitive game. I mean, the first 2 games, the Bills just rolled. And so it's kind of hard to get a read on what exactly they wanted to do. In this game, it was a division game against the Dolphins, and it was close. And you see the running back snaps. Devin Singletary, 67. Zach Moss, 16. James Cook, 10. And so it's just kind of like what we saw last year when the chips were down in the playoffs. It was all Devin Singletary. And it kind of strikes me that this is what they want to do in big spots and big games. The guy they trust most is Singletary. What did you see out of the Bills' loss to the Dolphins?
Well, I don't know if you saw at the end of the game, but like the players in this game were dropping all over the field because I guess the heat and the humidity was just out of control. Stephon Diggs was like, my whole body was cramping. And that's like a sign of like extreme dehydration.
Yeah.
He had to check out at the end of the game. He just went and like laid on the ground. I mean, and during a very important sequence. And that was happening on the other side too. Like, I mean, a bunch of players were off to the side. It was crazy. The box score here is crazy because the Bills, I mean, Josh Allen had 63 pass attempts, 8 rushing attempts. They had 23 rushing attempts as a team. What is that up at 86 plays?
Yeah.
And Miami had 39 plays. I mean, that's wild.
And they won the game.
Yeah, and Miami won the game.
Yeah.
The Bills were the better team. I mean, they had over twice as much team yardage, offensive yardage, as did Miami. But, the Bills made some mistakes. Ken Dorsey did you see him lose it up in the coach's box? Yeah, gosh. I mean, but they had him on the ropes, and they really let him off the hook.
I wanted to give a stat here on Dawson Knox and see if you've noticed this at all. PFF has Dawson Knox's pass block rate this year at 20%. In other words, he's pass blocking 20% of the time when Josh Allen drops back. Last year, that was at 7%. Obviously, that's a concern. It's hard to kind of pick that stuff up watching the game, but I think it's a major concern for Dawson Knox. Any thoughts on him going forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I think that the analysis before the season that he was just going to be quite touchdown dependent, that is probably going to end up being on point, and he hasn't scored any touchdowns yet.
Yeah.
So he's going to be probably a touchdown or bust guy. Like, they're not really expanding his role, trying to feed him the ball more. He's a good blocker. He's a good blocker. Sometimes that works against guys.
Let's go to the Bengals. Bengals are on a short week playing Miami. And so Joe Mixon kind of like rolled lightly his ankle. And I think they were just like, hey, we're up by a lot against the Jets. Let's just go with P. Ryan down the stretch. And they did so. It hurt Joe Mixon's day, but I think Mixon's going to be fine going forward. Sounds like he's kind of expected to play in this game. Also, I played T. Higgins in cash, and I don't know if you guys saw that hit, but I mean, he took a nasty hit on a long bomb. I was like, oh God, that's it for T. Higgins. But when you play alphas in cash, they come back into the game, and T. Higgins is certainly an alpha. He comes back into the game and finishes it out. Seems like he's fine. What did you see out of the Bengals, who got their first win of this of the season against the Jets?
Yeah, and I think that as we kind of anticipated, by the way, the Bengals have one of the highest throw rates over expectation in the league this year. And, the results have not been perfect, but it is a sign that, hey, they're being more aggressive early in the season than they were last year in the early part of the season, when they were really worried about their offensive line and Joe Burrow's recovery and all that. They're going to be all right offensively. Like, they're going to be really explosive. Okay. Sauce Gardner did a great job against Jamar Chase in this game. So I think hats off to him. Jamar Chase still got in the box. So he was fine, but Sauce Gardner is a dude out there. I mean, he's been incredible. He's obviously super NFL ready, number 4 pick in the draft.
Yeah. One thing on Tyler Boyd, I just wanted to mention, you don't talk about contingent value a lot at the wide receiver position. Tyler Boyd does have contingent value for season-long teams, because if something ever happens to T. Higgins or Jamar Chase, I mean, Tyler Boyd's a baller, and he can step in and have some really big games if that were to happen. And obviously, even when they're playing, he can have big games, 4 catches, 105 yards, and that 56-yard touchdown for Tyler Boyd. Let's go to Cincinnati. Cleveland. That was the Thursday game against the Steelers, and David Njoku finally got his breakout. I don't think his role really changed that much. Week 1, it definitely changed from week 1. Week 1, he only ran a route on 68% of dropbacks. In week 2, though, 81%. He caught 3 balls for 32 yards. Week 3, though, 82%, 989, 1. So I don't want to overreact here, but playing a good game certainly helps the confidence going forward. I also thought Jacoby Brissett played a pretty good game there against the Steelers. What'd you see out of the Browns?
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett has played 2 good games in a row. And if you remember, he had a full season as the Colts starter, and I think he took the most sacks in the league that year. He had a real problem with holding onto the ball too long in the pocket, and that leads to a lot of problems. He's had one of the better delivery times across the league so far this year, and I think it's a hats off. It's a credit to him first and foremost, but also to Kevin Stefanski, one of the better coaches in the league. Coaching that into him. to get the ball out, and be on time. And I mean, especially on like virtually all of those targets to David Njoku, he was getting the ball out quick, and they were winning early in the route and all that. Nick Chubb is an absolute stud. Leads the NFL in rushing so far. The Browns are kind of who we thought they would be, and that is a team that is just going to pound the piss out of the ball and be efficient. And they've been more efficient than anticipated, I think, especially because they've been so efficient in the passing game. But they're going to run the crap out of it. Kareem Hunt also has 15 touches in each of their first 3 games. Amari, how about Amari? Yeah. And I thought he was going to be real up and down. It still may be with him, but he's been great the last 2 games. I mean, he is riffing with Jacoby Brissett right now.
I mean, talented wide receivers are just, you can't underrate what a guy like Amari Cooper can do for a quarterback like Jacoby Brissett. By the way, Browns get Falcons and Chargers next, so 2 more really good chances for Nick Chubb to continue to pad his lead as fantasy's number 1 running back. Broncos. I mean, everybody spent the whole summer arguing about Javonte versus Melvin. We didn't think that team preseason, Mike Boone was going to get in the mix and gum this up even more. In that game on Sunday night, Javonte played 33 snaps and ran 13 routes. Melvin Gordon, 28 snaps and 13 routes. Mike Boone, 14 snaps and 13 routes. I mean, do we really need, and I love Mike Boone. Mike Boone's one of my favorite under the radar team preseason guys. Do we really need to have Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon and then also give 11 routes and 14 snaps to Mike Boone in a close game? I didn't know what was going on there. I don't know if that's going to continue, but if it does, it's obviously really bad for Javonte and Melvin as well. What you see out of the Broncos, who somehow got another, they've played so bad, but they're 2-1.
Yeah, and they won this one 11-10. I think their other win was against the Texans, what was it, 16-8 or something like that?
Against the Seahawks, 17. They lost against the Texans. They beat 16-9. Yep.
Yeah, 16-9.
Yeah, they've played so bad.
Yeah, I mean, Russ hasn't played well.
Yeah.
The coaching has been highly questionable, and I think maybe you could add the Mike Boone thing into that. At least Cortland Sutton has been productive. Albert O, his usage is sort of going down every week. Mm-hmm. Can't play him right now.
I actually just dropped out. I was just going through some waiver stuff, and I had to drop Albert O in one league. I just feel like I could
waivers. Wow.
I could just rotate guys through on waivers that are giving me the same thing Albert O is giving me. Right. So it just sucks. It sucks.
I could never envision you doing season-long waivers.
Oh, I know. I'm in a couple leagues with my boys from high school. So that,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say Cortland Sutton, I thought, played a really good game. Jared Jeudy was not affected by the shoulder, I didn't think, but he only saw 6 targets compared to 10 for Cortland Sutton. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm going to go back and forth on this, I know, all year, but the way Jerry Jeudy plays and the routes that he runs, they just don't suit Russ's game as well as the routes and the play style of Cortland Sutton. I'm standing by that. I believe that. And I may go back and forth on it because Jerry Jeudy is going to tease us with some big moments because he's got baller in him. But I think Cortland Sutton is just kind of clearly the better fit for the way that Russ plays.
Not to mention the Bible narrative. And Cortland Sutton certainly looks like the better option right now. Go to the Houston Texans. Over the last 2 weeks, this Dameon Pierce role, Dameon Pierce has seen 35 carries and 3 targets over the last 2 weeks. During that span, Rex Burkhead just 3 carries and 8 targets. I mean, Dameon Pierce is going to run for 1,000 yards. And I know you have these crazy offensive rookie of the year tickets on Dameon Pierce. I mean, those are super live because he's going to run for 1,000 yards. And a lot of media members could just be like, this guy, ran for 1,000 yards as a rookie. That's really impressive. And it is. I mean, there's no doubt a 4th-round rookie. But if he keeps getting this kind of volume, which I think he will, even on a bad team, even with Davis Mills playing like shit, which is tilting me so bad, but even with Davis Mills playing awful, Dameon Pierce is still going to see a lot of yards thanks to the volume. The Brandon Cook stuff is a concern. Brandon Cooks has seen 27% of the targets. He has a 45% catch rate this year. His career catch rate is 66%. I mean, Davis Mills has been worse than last year, and I think kind of worse than I even thought he can be. It's not over yet, and I'm certainly not writing off Brandon Cooks. He has some really good matchups coming up as well. But certainly concerned what you see out of the Texans in week 3.
Yeah, Davis Mills, and he wasn't terrible in this game, but I think he's a backup probably.
Yeah.
Long term. Yeah, the Dameon Pierce stuff was taken at 50-1 early in the offseason for O'Roy.
Yeah.
Hopefully we could get
he's
that.
He's 9-1 now.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
I feel like an idiot for saying this but so they lost Brevin Jordan. Jordan Akins had been on the Giants, and now Jordan Akins is on the Texans now, and he jumps in and he plays ahead, or he at least outscores OJ Howard and who they threw a screen pass to that went nowhere, and then Pharaoh Brown. So they're back to playing 3 tight ends. We're not finding any sleepers there. That's about the extent of what I got on the Texans.
People are asking as we go to the Colts, Evan, what's wrong with Jonathan Taylor? I don't see a lot wrong with Jonathan Taylor. It's just the stuff we talked about before the season. He is a running back that is going to be somewhat dependent on touchdowns because he doesn't have a huge pass game role. Last season, Jonathan Taylor scored a touchdown on 5.4% of his carries. This year, Jonathan Taylor is scoring a touchdown on 1.6% of his carries. There's nothing wrong with Jonathan Taylor. I still think that he is probably the best running back, the running back I would like to have most in fantasy right now. It's very close between him and Christian McCaffrey still, I think. So I'm not panicking or worried about Jonathan Taylor at all. I do think the Colts will do themselves a service to get Paris Campbell the hell off the field. I mean, another 38 routes in week 3 for Paris Campbell with no production whatsoever. He's now run 112 routes this year, which is a ton. He's caught 5 balls for 47 yards and no touchdowns on 8 targets. Free Ashton Dulin, man. Free Ashton Dulin. If the Colts are listening to this, which I know the Colts front office and their coaching staff, I know that this is the appointment listening for them. If you guys are listening, get Ashton Dulin out there opposite Michael Pittman. Thank me later. Anyways, Evan, what'd you see out of the Colts who got the upset win over the Chiefs?
Yeah, I agree with you about Ashton Dulin. Jonathan Taylor, he's not only going to be reliant on touchdowns, but he's also going to be reliant on efficiency, and he just wasn't very efficient in this particular game. It helps a lot that he had 3 catches for 20. But that's about at the peak of his range on a week-to-week basis. But that added 5 points to your total there, and you didn't get a total dud even in a game where he was held to 71 yards on 21 carries, 3.4 yards per carry.
Yep. Let's go to the Jaguars. So it might be capitulation season. I don't know if you're ready to capitulate or not. I wasn't really on Zay Jones. Josh Norris, our old friend, was on Zay Jones. And you got to give credit to Zay Jones. Dude is playing well. I mean, he's running around on 84% of Trevor Lawrence dropbacks.
He's had one good game.
He's seen 21% of the targets.
He's 1 for 3.
He has a low average depth of target, 6.8 yards.
He's played 3 games and he has 1 good game.
He's playing well. I think this offense is ascending. We can write off a lot of what happened last year with Trevor Lawrence based on the coaching, and I think that was the narrative in the offseason. I think that's proving to be true. So, Evan, are you adding Zay Jones this week? Or are you capitulating?
I mean, I'll capitulate just because, I'm a nice guy, okay? But, I mean, I thought it was funny, like Josh Norris, chirped me 3 times when Zay Jones had 65 scoreless yards in week 1. No chirps this week, even though Zay Jones actually had a good game. I put in matchups that he had a good matchup. But yeah, I mean, I think this is his Zay Jones' 2nd touchdown in his last 19 games. So that's real big. But I mean, the story of this, and fine, Zay Jones had a great game. Okay. The story of this is Trevor Lawrence here.
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence is like, I don't know. It's probably a little early for me to say this, but I think that he is like storming right toward the Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes tier. I think he is.
Yeah, it's a bold statement, but he's certainly playing at a much
because he's elevating
much
guys like Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, and he's real confident in the pocket right now. And they're using him on the move and taking advantage of his athleticism. And the Jags are rolling. They're number 2 in offensive DVOA right now.
Yeah.
They are, as a team, they are number 4 overall in DVOA, in Football Outsiders DVOA. And they're the only team that is in the top 4 in both offensive and defensive DVOA. What was Urban Meyer doing, man?
Yeah.
I mean, what a horrible job he did. They just changed the coaching staff, really. They did add some guys in free agency. I mean, a lot of guys, overpaid a lot of guys, but like the coaching is elevating those guys. Trevor Lawrence is elevating those guys. This is like a fun team. I mean, are they the favorite to win the AFC South right now?
I was going to mention that there was, as of yesterday, there was still some plus 275 out there on the Jaguars to win the division. And I thought that was actually pretty solid, just as I have no faith whatsoever in the Titans. And I think that the Colts are just like, Jaguars are better, and Jaguars already have a win against them. So yeah, I thought plus 275 on them to win the division was good.
Christian Kirk has 3 good games out of 3.
Yep.
We were on him.
Yeah.
We got to give a shout out to James Robinson. I mean, unbelievable. What an unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, he's the first guy to come back from an Achilles and be the same guy, maybe even be better. The thing is that he has like these 3 huge long runs. And then other than that, he's at like 2.5 yards per carry. But again, I don't want to take anything away from what he's done because he's certainly crushed any expectations that I had.
Yeah. And the coaches want to give him the ball. I mean, that's the thing with James Robinson. He always seems to find the ball. Coaches love this dude. So yeah, I've said way too many negative things about James Robinson over the last couple of years. And
full capitulation.
Chiefs, a lot of people are worried about the offense. I get it. They're still 4th in yards per play this season. They have had some really good matchups. They played Arizona. They played the Chargers. They played the Colts. But yeah, I'm curious how much panic or concern you have about Chiefs offense right now. Also, the running back rotation continues to be a problem, but CEH is still getting high value touches around the goal line to make up for this heavy rotation that they're doing. What have you seen out of the Chiefs offense as they lost in Indy in week 3?
Yeah, after week 1, and maybe with the benefit of hindsight, we can have better context for this because they looked just like they weren't going to miss a beat without Tyreek Hill and without MVS and just being, just a less explosive supporting cast around Patrick Mahomes. But it was week 1 against Arizona. Patrick Mahomes played an unbelievable game. It hasn't been the same in the 2 games since. They were okay against the Chargers. They weren't very good here against the Colts, and I have to capitulate because I like the over on the Chiefs team total. I loved it, and it was just they didn't get anywhere close to that.
Yeah, I mean, you saw some sharp line movement there. It was very clear that the sharps were on the Colts and the public was on the Chiefs there as the line kind of crashed down towards the Colts.
Yeah. I think that they should give more chances to Isaiah Pacheco in the backfield. I mean, CEH is just a guy. Like, I think we can all agree. He had fewer snaps than McKinnon in this game.
Yeah. No, I know. He's not playing a lot, period. And I think there are scheming stuff for him when he's out there, but he's not playing a lot, period. So, yeah, I mean, Pacheco should certainly be on benches right now. I thought Juju had a pretty good game, and I know people are wondering what to do with Sky Moore. I mean, and if I'm in a deep league, I'm not dropping Sky Moore, but if you need the roster spot, I think it's okay. He muffed 2 punts in this game. Also, he's not doing himself any favors to get on the field. That said, MVS and Hardman are just meh, and I think they could use Sky getting out there. I just don't know if they are anywhere close to doing so yet.
It doesn't seem like they are. I mean, I think he had 10. He had 2 snaps the previous game, then 10 this game.
Yep. Go to the Las Vegas Raiders. Mac Hollins, man, I talked about it a bunch on the solo pod because obviously getting on him in cash was the difference in the week. The last 2 weeks, one of them, Hunter Renfrow, was out this past week, but Mac Hollins is still running a route on 94% of the dropbacks and seeing 22% of the targets from Derek Carr. And that's resulted in 13 catches, 224 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, it's maybe a fluke, but he's playing well. And Derek Carr clearly has no issue whatsoever targeting Mac Hollins. Seriously, what would you think about Mac Hollins in season long going forward? Anything else on the Raiders?
Well, I think that his production, and he had an awesome game in this game. And I played a double stack with him and Devontae Adams and Derek Carr with Derrick Henry coming back. So I had a decent team there.
Nice.
Yeah, to save me from all the stuff I lost on the Chiefs. God. But I mean, it correlated with Hunter Renfrow being out.
That's true.
So I don't know, man.
The role isn't going to change, but the number of
Yeah.
targets available will change. In other words, Matt Collins is still going to be
right.
outside playing every snap, whether Hunter Renfro's out there or not. But obviously, Hunter Renfrow is a much bigger target suck than Keelan Cole was in the slot in this game.
Yeah. Offensive line still an issue for the Raiders. They're just like significantly below average. Derek Carr has not been playing particularly well in the new offense. Devonta Adams saved his butt here with the touchdown.
Yeah,
but he's been disappointing outside the first game. They're not firing on all cylinders at all right now in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was shocked at how poorly Devonta Adams showed up in this game. They did get the goal line touchdown to him, but yeah, only 5 catches for 36 yards on 10 targets. I thought this was a really good spot for him. Let's go to Chargers. I was shocked they played Justin Herbert, man. I mean, shocked that they played him. I don't see really why. And then they also left him in down 28 points in the fourth quarter. I liked Brandon Staley a lot last year. He has done this team no favors whatsoever through 3 weeks. They have so much talent, and I think it's being bungled to some degree. Now they lose Rashawn Slater for the year, which I think is a big deal. And Joey Bosa is out multiple weeks with a groin issue. Also, I mean, they're losing a bunch of this talent. Keenan Allen, I think, will be back this week, but it's not great for the Chargers right now. What do you see out of their home loss to the Jaguars?
Oh man, this was rough. I mean, and I think anybody who saw how much pain Justin Herbert was in the previous game, like you got to give him a week off, man. Like,
Yeah.
And you got to protect him from himself. I mean, at some point it becomes incumbent on the coaching staff, which I think is what you were basically saying there.
Yeah.
It's a long season. It's 17 games, like I don't think you let him play in this situation. Losing Rashawn Slater is so massive. This dude was awesome as a rookie, one of the best left tackles in the league already. The combination of your quarterback having fractured rib cartilage, whatever that is, but I know it's painful, and losing your left tackle just can't be good, And as a Charger Super Bowl better, I'm not feeling that anymore.
No. By the way, I know there's a lot of concern about Austin Eckler. He only had 4 carries in this game. Sony Michel is getting goal line work. He's losing base work to both Sony and Josh Kelly. But Austin Eckler, 21 catches in 3 games. I mean, it's just so valuable, the role that Eckler has. And I get that it's frustrating to see Sony and Kelly out there, but I would not be complaining about Austin Eckler when he's getting this much work in the past game. And I do think it's somewhat sustainable. He's just so good in that role.
Again, with Herbert, you have a veteran backup in Chase Daniel who can go out there and win you a game.
Yeah.
It's irresponsible.
This is also nothing new with the Chargers, by the way. They're I think most injuries are random. The Chargers stuff, they seem to always get the short end of the stick on injuries. Always. And so, I don't know. It's a concern. Anyways, Dolphins. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with this Chase Edmonds versus Raheem Mostert stuff. I mean, Chase Edmonds running back touch share by week, 73% in week 1, looked like he was going to have an awesome role. Then in week 2, they went to full Mostert, only 30%. In week 3, Chase Edmonds gets back. He gets 47% of the running back touches, but he also got 2 goal line carries, And to me, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do on a week-to-week basis. I guess it's kind of the frustration that we had with San Francisco at times too, with their running backs. Also, in this game, I don't know if you saw, I'm sure everybody saw actually, Tua hits his head on the turf. He's so woozy, can't even stand. I don't know how he got back into this game, but he's listed questionable for Thursday's game against the Bengals. Also, what you see out of the Dolphins win over the Bills?
Yeah, they were somehow able to win despite running 39 offensive plays in this game. Tua's balling. I mean, he's been one of the best downfield passers in the league. And look, Tyreek Hill bombed here, but even big time dudes are going to bomb in scenarios where you only have 39 offensive plays and 13 pass completions.
Yeah.
The Jalen Waddle people should feel very fortunate that they were able to get a 100-yard game out of him. I just, and I've gone back and forth on Tua, and I didn't have like a particularly high ranking on him from a fantasy standpoint entering the season. But those jerks that were out there calling Tua supporters the Tuanon, like they were crazy people for thinking that Tua could be good. Like they just look like assholes right now.
Yeah.
Because that's the implication behind that term, is that people that were supportive of Tua, that they were legitimately insane people. They're idiots right now. I don't see the Tuanon going around anymore.
No, come on. That's ridiculous. And
it's
obviously
juvenile is what it is.
You're playing the Mike McDaniel scheme. You're going to, with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, you're going to have upside for success. So New England, the good news on New England, Ramondre Stevenson's season, we talked about him so much in the summer. This was kind of what we were talking about with Ty Montgomery not out there. Ramondre Stevenson, 62% of the snaps, 62% of the dropbacks over the last 2 weeks he's running a route on, and then 121 rushing, 532-0 receiving, looked really good. Now, the problem, Evan, is that Mac Jones hurt his ankle. Sounds pretty bad. He's going to be out at least several weeks. Their backups are Brian Hoyer and Bailey Zappi. I mean, Hoyer is 36 years old. I think he's lost something like 12 straight starts or something crazy like that. What do you think about the New England offense going forward, presumably under Brian Hoyer?
I don't think very much of it.
Yeah, it was already shaky.
Yeah. Feeling better about Ramondre. They've made a commitment to Ramondre, I think, to an extent, that he's going to be the lead back of a committee.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really good. Like, he's really good. We weren't making it up. The dude is a baller. But they're not going to score many points. It was nice to see Devontae Parker. This is the dude that I thought he was going to kind of be, not a guy who gets 156 yards every week, but I thought he would be the number one.
Yeah.
And
it's worth noting that Jacoby Myers did not play in this game. The Patriots number one receiver, but still.
Yeah.
The Brian Hoyer stuff is bad though. Like, I don't even feel great about Ramondre with Brian Hoyer out there. Like, I'll still play Ramondre where I need to, but it's not not great.
No, it's not good. I mean, your scoring expectation is going to be like 16.
Yeah. Let's go to the Jets. So I thought Breece Hall was like one of the running back dead zone picks that was okay this year. I still think he's better than Michael Carter. I've been blown away by Breece Hall's pass game role. I did not see it coming. 21 targets for Breece Hall in 3 games on 60 routes run. I mean, just absurd. Now, there are caveats there. Joe Flacco was dropped back an insane amount of times, 165 times in 3 games. Joe Flacco was dropped back. And also he's targeting running backs at this outrageously high clip. With Zach Wilson likely to come back soon, I don't think that's going to continue, but it's at least worth knowing and seeing that this is in Breece Hall's bag. Also, Garrett Wilson got banged up in this game, but came back. He's a baller, man. I love watching Garrett Wilson already in his young career. What do you see out of the Jets' ugly loss to the Bengals?
Yeah, so it is going to be, I mean, I pretty much saw everything that you saw, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here because Zach Wilson is due back this week, I believe. Yeah. Joe Flacco has the most pass attempts in NFL history through the first 3 games of a season, according to Pro Football Reference, and they go way back at Pro Football Reference, okay? So it's going to be interesting to see how they change the offense because when Zach Wilson had his limited amount of success last year, it was when they went very run heavy and they try to they're trying to teach him how to play within structure because he was such an out of structure playmaker at BYU. And he didn't even look comfortable within the structure of the offense last season until late in the year on a very limited basis. The weapons are real nice though.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Elijah Moore hasn't even played well and they've still moved the ball and Corey Davis had a couple of big catches. I mean, they have some talent for sure. Steelers. I'm sure everybody saw George Pickens' absolutely insane catch on Thursday Night Football. I mean, that was a absolutely ridiculous catch from George Pickens, but still, he's now run 101 routes this season, has George Pickens. He's seen 12 targets, 5 catches, 65 yards. It's just Mitch clearly stinks and prefers Deontay Johnson. I guess all these quarterbacks who stink, they just get locked onto Deontay Johnson. That's not taking anything away from Deontay Johnson. In fact, the dude's always open, and that's a credit to him. I still want to see what happens when Kenny Pickett gets in there. Hopefully that can spark other guys beyond Deontay. Also on Najee Harris, I mean, he's down to 78% of the running back touches. In other words, whereas before the Steelers were not playing any backups, now they're playing Jaylen Warren. Last year, Najee Harris was at 87% of the running back touches. So, we've been low on Najee Harris the whole way. Feel pretty good about that. What did you see out of the Steelers game last Thursday night against the Browns?
I saw one of the tape guys, on Twitter putting out a video, and it was of like George Pickens runs this great route, gets himself wide open for, an easy completion where he could probably get run after catch too. And like Trubisky doesn't even look at him. And then it's Pickens like, damn it, like he's pissed, and there seems to be like infighting among the Steelers because the quarterback play is just, it's a one read offense.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've been pleased with the scheming of Matt Canada either. Jaylen Warren is like a great hold right now. And he's played so well, especially in pass protection, that like he's earning snaps at the expense of Najee Harris. And I mean, Najee Harris's usage is like fairly considerably down or meaningfully down from last year, which is something that we kind of anticipated because his usage was out of control last year because he led the NFL in touches, right? And he also led the NFL in targets. And that's just, that's not going to happen this year.
Yeah.
The NFL in targets among running backs, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah. And there's going to be spots to get Kenny Pickett going. I actually thought Mitch didn't play his worst possible game on Thursday. So maybe they give him one more chance, but the leash cannot be that much longer. Kenny Pickett has to get in there soon. Last team we're going to do today is the Tennessee Titans. I played Traylon Burks in minis with Devontae Adams this week in tournaments, and I talked about that on the solo pod. I was fine with it. Even in hindsight, I'm fine with it. It was a disaster, though. I mean, Traylon played a ton. 27 routes on 28 dropbacks for Traylon Burks. Just 2 targets. He didn't play in the slot at all. Didn't get any easy targets. Finishes 1 catch for 13 yards. Derrick Henry, they came out throwing the ball to Derrick Henry in this game, which was really, really encouraging. Obviously, his floor-ceiling combo goes up a ton if that is sticky. I don't know if it will be, though. What do you see out of the Titans game?
Yeah, well, their receiver core is just garbage right now. And Traylon Burks has potential, and Robert Woods is coming around at 85 yards in this game on 9 targets. But they should get Derrick. I mean, we've been saying this for years.
They should, but nobody ever does it.
I know. I mean, throw them 2 screen passes and 2 dump offs every game, and just let them truck dudes. He looked good in this game. This is the best I've seen him look since before that injury last year.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, we had some unders on Derrick Henry. He felt kind of fortunate to get there after the way that he started. They play at the Colts this week and then at the Commanders the week after that, do the Titans. All right, that is going to do it for the AFC Team by Team podcast. Thank y'all for being here. By the way, if you're listening to this, I assume you're on Twitter, but if you're not, if you want to be hardcore, if you want to be good, I think at Fantasy Football, you have to be on the Twitter machine. That's where all the best information is, where all the fastest information is. Be sure you're following all of us, me at Adam Levitan, Evan at Evan Silva, and at Establish the Run. For Evan, for producer Luke, I'm Adam. Good luck, everybody.